Allison Neville is the acting director of humanitarian policy with Save the Children, and she is joining us to talk about the situation happening right now in Afghanistan. Allison, I know you're working with families and kids trying to escape, and at last look, an estimated 72,000 children have arrived in Kabul. How dire is this situation right now?
Many of these families are living on the streets. They're lacking access to food, lacking access to basic hygiene, and we're incredibly worried about the possibility for disease outbreaks.
Is this a triage situation, Allison, where you're going in, you're trying to offer support, food, blankets, necessary essentials for these families and these kids, or are you trying to get them out?
No, we're trying to respond to folks as they're coming in. We talked a lot about Kabul. As families are coming in, we're doing everything that we can on the ground to be able to provide them with what they need in this short term to be able to kind of, piece together food, sanitation, shelter, those sorts of things.
What are some of the dangers that these families face in terms of their safety?
Yes, that's absolutely of concern. Obviously, anytime there's conflict, violence ongoing in any context, civilians can become collateral damage in these types of crises. So we're, of course, very, very concerned about the lives, livelihoods, the types of injuries that we can see when there is active armed conflict, is incredibly concerning and one of the biggest threats to children on the ground.
And it struck me, you're not just helping children, you're helping families, in particular, many pregnant women who have been trying to escape the region as well.
Yes, we've already been seeing, pregnant women who have been fleeing from areas of conflict into areas that are a bit safer right now. It's so tough to imagine what it must be like for these families, these expectant mothers who find themselves in the midst of conflict and having to flee to areas just to find safety, and then all the other needs that they face at that point, food, water, those sorts of things, and we're doing everything that we can on the ground to make sure that these mothers, these families, these children have access to what they need.
Allison, we have reported in the last 24 hours that the U.S. is sending 3,000 troops into the region to evacuate the U.S. embassy. The situation and the danger involved here, the level is high. What sort of safeguards are in place for your colleagues with Save the Children who are on the ground there right now as the situation intensifies, especially given the fact that the Taliban has control of much of the country at this point?
We're incredibly worried about, staff. Anytime our colleagues face conflict-specific situations. There are places, unfortunately, where we have had to suspend some of our programs due to either the safety of our staff or the safety of our beneficiaries. And given the needs, it's a really unfortunate situation that there isn't enough stability and peace for us to be able to continue all of our programs throughout the country. But we will do everything we can to get those programs back up and running as soon as it's safe to do so.
What do you want people here in America to understand about the situation?
And the children who have dealt with, decades of conflict, have literally grown up in conflict, deserve to live in a country that is at peace. So that really fundamentally needs to be the priority moving forward. And the international community really does need to stand up and make sure that all parties to conflict are abiding by international humanitarian law, and making sure that we can keep children safe now and support a lasting solution that can allow for peace for children in Afghanistan in the future.
Do you feel as though you have the support of the U.S. government and the international community right now as your troops are on the ground?
Minute by minute, things on the ground are shifting. So it's so important that the entire international community, the United States, is paying attention and continues to do everything that it can be doing to prioritize lasting solutions for the people of Afghanistan.
Allison, it is important that you're with us tonight. The work you and your team are doing in Afghanistan now and for the last several decades is critical. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for highlighting the situation.